Well, I got up really early, and that's actually before the sun came up, to leave Cedar City to backtrack to Bryce Canyon. I probably should have been on my phone checking the weather on 143. My plan was to go up north on 15 and then take that really beautiful drive. And it goes through Bryan Head, up by some beautiful alpine lakes. It's a real high route. But when I got down there and I started up 143, I got to a point where it said the road was closed for the season due to snow. So if you're traveling in mid May, that's a very strong possibility on 143. Also, 14 can close. It is very steep also. And so be aware that both of those roads can be impacted by inclement weather. Highway 14 has 8% grades, some 25-mile-an-hour curves. There are even some that are labeled at 15. The summit is still 10,000 feet high. And so if you're basically dealing with winter weather, that can be extremely treacherous. And watching the weather, I decided to go on 15 and go up into Bryce Canyon that way. So backtracking along some of the previous driven route, but it turned out to be a wonderful way to go. One of the things that I kind of discovered by accident is Red Canyon. I hadn't read about it, I hadn't seen it, but Highway or Byway 12 runs directly through the Red Rock Canyon area. And there's actually several Red Rock Arch tunnels that are on there, but it's beautiful. And the light was great. I got there after the sun had risen, and just the spires, columns, and the hoodoos are awe-inspiring. And I had always made a promise to myself after my Canyonlands experience that I would just take the time when something was beautiful and look at it. The little town of Panguitch is real close by. Red Canyon is just a very small part of what the Dixie National Forest is. That's a 170-mile natural preserve. It's a gorgeous area, and I just highly recommend coming back and viewing it. Also, Scenic Byway 12 is one of those things that I've got to come back to. It's beautiful, and I've never been to Capitol Reef. I didn't have time to get to Capitol Reef on this trip. Few days of my trip here has been driven by the fact that there's a huge Pacific storm coming in that is supposed to basically snow in Bryce Canyon and all the high elevations. So I've got a very narrow time window to get up to Bryce Canyon to partake of it in this trip. I originally was going to go down to Zion first and then backtrack, and the idea was to take 89 up into Bryce Canyon, but I decided not to do that because the severe weather. Red Canyon was just one of those blessings. I came across it. All the trails were super accessible. The scenery was just wonderful. In some ways, I think the scenery was more accessible than Bryce was. And my whole premise is if you're there and the scenery is beautiful, take the photos. Don't worry about the next location. And so I really, really loved the hoodoos. I just loved all the red rock, everything. And I can't recommend enough this little hidden gem and surprise.